Hi, it's Mrs. Banks again. I wanted to make a quick video tutorial to show you how to get on to some of the apps that the students will be using for their e-learning adventure. I'm going to start with this video on how to use Myon. Obviously, you can see that I'm on the Clever front page, and you'll notice that they've added a few little extra tips on how to get onto Clever and use Clever, but I have already told you guys how to do that, so I'm just going to go ahead and click in log in with Active Directory, and it'll bring me to this login screen because I've already logged in for this student. So I am using a student's login page today. The reason I'm doing that is because I wanted you guys to see it from a student perspective. Hopefully your child listened to the video for Clever, and their icons are already up here in the favorite resources. If they're not, you can scroll down and find them down here and then favorite them by hovering over and tapping on that heart shape. Like I said, today we're going to use Myon. So I'm going to go ahead and click on Myon, and I'm going to show you how to use this app. All right, so once you click on Myon, you're going to come to this first screen, and this is where the students are going to have to enter in their school name, username, and password. The school name is obviously Heritage, but you can see that they have a lot of heritages. So once you go ahead and type in basically HERI, it starts to show up. So you can click on Heritage Elementary. It's usually the second one. It'll say Hillsborough County Public Schools. So you want to click on that. And then it'll put Heritage Elementary here for you, so you don't have to type out the whole thing. The next thing you want to do is put your student's lunch number and their password, the same lunch number and password to get onto Clever. All right, so once you log into Myon, it's going to take you to this dashboard. This dashboard is very important because what I did is I have already assigned them a project. And I did this so that they would be able to see the reading assignments for the week. So they're going to go ahead and click on this icon so that they can get into that project. It makes it easier than them having to search for the books that they need to read. So they're just going to click on this, and it is going to bring up that project. So the books that they're going to read are right here on the page. As you can see, you can kind of scroll over them and read will pop up, and then you'll just click on read to be able to read those books. The important part for this is to know that there are only 2 books for the week, and these are actually the books for the entire week. If we had started on Monday and ended on Friday, they would have been doing these 2 books for the whole week. They are not going to be, they're not required to read all of the books in one day. It's over a period of days, and they'll be able to see kind of how it's broken into pieces on Edsby. So I'll kind of put on Edsby, not to read the entire thing next week when we get started. So if they wanted to read the book, they would go ahead and click on this read icon, and it would bring up the book. And I'm going to come back to that in a little bit because I wanted to show you a few other things. So once they've read the books, they can do 2 other things. The first one is actually the assignment portion. So it is the second part right here. They're going to click there, and you'll see that the directions are there for them, and then they can click start writing. Again, the directions are right here. And so they would click on essay writer up here, and they can really put the title of the book or their name up here for the title. And then they could type in everything that they are assigned to do. I know that with students sharing resources that this may not be feasible, and so it might be paper and pencil. Also, they're first graders, so I'm not 100% sure that they're all great typists, obviously. So they may not feel comfortable with that, or they may not really be able to do that. So it is fine to do it on paper and pencil and not do it in here at all. But if they do type it up, they just click save, and then once you click save, you'll notice that it says turn in writing. So they would click in the turn in writing of whatever they did. If they're not done, then they would just leave it like this and continue writing the next day. And then whenever they're done, they want to click turn in writing. The last place that they were going to go is a graphic organizer. This graphic organizer, they can click on it. It is completely optional and it's not actually part of the assignment, but I thought it might be helpful, so I went ahead and put it up here anyway. But again, they're not required to do this. So they would click on the graphic organizer. It gives them some instructions about what the graphic organizer is for. They would click on main idea and details for the graphic organizer. And then topic is really the title of the story. And then they would just put the details in each of the topic sections and then the main idea in the end. Just like the writing portion, they would click save and it would come up so that they could turn in the graphic organizer, continue working on the graphic organizer, or just leave it alone. So I'm going to go back to the reading portion of this because I want to show you guys how when you're reading with Mayan, it can be helpful for students that maybe aren't strong readers, that they can use the volume screen. So I'm going to go ahead and click on read. And once they click on read, then they would push start book. So there are two options to reading the book. They can just see the book and click the pages, and obviously it's not reading to them. They would have to read it themselves. The other option is to go back and click this little play button at the bottom. So if I click the play button.
All About Mammals by Helen Gregory.
And then they would still have to click the arrow, but once I click the arrow.
Mammals are one of the 6 groups of animals. All mammals have hair or fur.
All right, so I'm going to go ahead and pause it because you guys get the idea. So they would be able to play it or do it without the sound. So it's totally up to them what they would like to do. There's some other things over here on the side. I really don't use them a lot, but they're welcome to kind of experiment. Isn't this whole learning adventure an experiment anyway? So they're welcome to click on those and see what they do. But ultimately, everything that I've just showed you is the meat of what they need to be doing. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and click exit. And that will conclude how to get onto Mayan, so they can just close out and it will go back to their regular Clever screen. And I hope that helps.